You can't retire in New York State. I think that's the way the elites want it, actually. Let's read this. Dated August 31st, 2019. I don't think the elites there want your kind in that state, and so they're going to make it more and more expensive, whatever they got to do to kick you out. And they just want to be their little fiefdoms with a bunch of poverty, poor-stricken people serving them, and them in their luxury in the city and whatnot, being served by the remaining few that can afford it, who can't afford it, but they will live there because of various government largesse that they're handing out. New York is running out of fuel and power, just as Cuomo planned. August 30th, 2019, Dateline. And here are these guys. No fracked gas, no pipeline. Keep it clean. Stop Williams Pipeline. These are all just rich people who have never worked a day in their life. Governor Andrew Cuomo doubled down last week on his blame the messenger approach to New York's growing shortage of natural gas supplies by ordering the Department of Public Service to broaden its investigation of National Grid and threatening to find another franchisee. Anything rather than admit that his own policies are at fault. The utility has stopped taking new gas customers in part because of Long Island, Brooklyn, and Queens, where it cannot handle the new demand. Because Team Cuomo vetoed the proposed Williams pipeline to bring in supplies to New Jersey. New Jersey is also blocking the pipeline since Phil Murphy is appeasing the same green extremists. National Grid gave months of warning that would need to impose a moratorium if fresh supplies weren't ensured. Con Ed did the same in advance of his recent new biz moratorium in most of Westchester, which was also prompted in good part by the nixing of the new pipelines. This is the point of the years-long green war on pipelines. You can't burn gas or oil you can't get. But would-be consumers are, of course, furious, which leaves Cuomo and like-minded polls blaming the utilities. Hence the governor's brought-in investigation, which is supposed to find what? The National Grid doesn't want more customers? Most of the public eats it up when polls bash utilities, but it won't change the facts. Give the franchise to another company, and it still won't be able to conjure fuel out of the air. It needs a pipeline to deliver it. Of course, it's been years since reality mattered when it came to Cuomo's energy policies. He ignored both science and upstate's economic straits when he made the fracking ban permanent in 2014. Meanwhile, Pennsylvanians prospered by fracking their share of the Marcellus Shale. Then there's his renewable energy goals. In 2015, he pledged to run the state on 50% renewable energy by 2030. New York actually lost ground on that front last year, but he upped it to 70% and 100% by 2040. Never mind, this requires vast wind and solar farms that many communities refuse to tolerate, plus major new power transmission lines and new battery technology that doesn't exist and may not ever exist, frankly. Nor that the carbon-free goals will turn even harder to reach when Cuomo engineers shutdown of the Indian Point nuclear power plant begins next year. It supplies a quarter of New York City's electricity, and there's no way to get enough green replacement power in time. It's not going to happen. The United States is now the world's top energy producer. There's no reason of any kind of power or fuel shortage in New York City, or New York State for that matter, but Con Edison and National Grid moratoriums are merely a taste of what's coming. Be sure to thank Cuomo when the lights go out. Imagine being so immune from basic science to even argue that we're going to have 100% of our state running on 100% renewable energy and not to include nuclear. I mean, can you imagine the level of stupidity you would have to be to propose that? I mean, and not be voted out of office. You get what you vote for, my friends. There's no other way around that. And I know a bunch of you all live in who are longtime YouTube commenters here. I feel bad for you because you're literally fighting a tidal wave of ignorance. They're going to blame the utility. The utility's like, look, we want to serve your goal. We want to meet the demand, but we can't. We cannot bring the gas in here if we can't get a pipeline. If we can't get a transmission line, essentially as a pipeline, we can't bring it in. It's insanity to me. And of course, because of the ban on fracking, the ban on pipelines, it's not just the state of New York, it's hurting everybody going up the north as well. New Jersey with your radical leftist governor, Phil Murphy. I mean, you got to get out of there, my friends. Come join us down here in the South where science still rules supreme. Where if you want carbon neutral, you're not going to ban nuclear for heaven's sake. I mean, this is just freaking insane. Just talked to a guy yesterday who lives in New York. I'm like, I don't know what his politics are, but I'm like, I didn't say anything, but I'm sure he has no clue. I don't know that. I imagine he's got no clue from where his electricity is going to come. Never mind his whole energy. And it won't be shocking, I hope he won't be, when the prices go through the roof, because there's no other way around that. How are you going to get that kind of demand? How are you going to get that supply to meet the demand? It's nuts. Anyway, get out of New York, man. Come join us down here in the South, but don't take your politics with you. Keep those up there. I will see you.